Hi boys! Today we're going to make chocolate cake with fluffy white frosting. Don't have to tell you what a favorite this is of you guys and everybody else in the family, so let's get started with our ingredients. The first thing you're going to need is all-purpose flour. You're also going to need white sugar, vegetable oil, baking soda, salt, vanilla, 2 eggs, baking cocoa, and cream of tartar. Now let's talk about the tools that you'll need. I'm going to use my stand mixer. You can use your hand mixer. You're going to need 2 mixing bowls. One is going to be for the frosting, one's going to be for the cake batter. You're going to need your your measuring cups and your measuring spoons. Also a whisk and a spatula. And then you're going to need a small saucepan, and then last but not least, you're going to need your cake pan and your parchment paper. Go ahead and trace that parchment paper out in a circle, line the bottom, set your oven to 350, and let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your cake mix put together. You're not going to believe how quick this is and how easy it is. You probably will never use another cake mix again. The first thing we're going to use for our ingredients is a cup of flour. So get your 1 cup measure out, dip into your flour. Use something to go ahead and level it off and put in 1 cup of flour into your large mixing bowl. The next thing you're going to need is a cup of white sugar. So get your white sugar out. We're going to do the same thing. 1 cup of white sugar, and we're going to add that to our mixing bowl. And then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of the baking cocoa. Now, this is the Nestle. I also like the Hershey, too. If you find that, I think I like that a little bit better. They just happen to have this at the commissary the day that I was shopping. So go ahead and dip your 1/2 cup in there and put in a 1/2 cup of the cocoa. Okay. Now get your 1/2 teaspoon measure. And you're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of the salt. Okay. Just till it comes to the top like that, and put that in there. Okay, then I want you to get your whisk out, and very carefully, I want you to stir the contents. Be really careful, otherwise you're going to have like flour and cocoa going everywhere. So go ahead and mix that in really good. And now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. Now the important thing about this cake is not to mix it too much. You want to have some lumps left in the bottom when you get done. If you don't, then your cake is going to be kind of flat, and it's not going to have a good fudgy texture. So go ahead and stir that, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've added a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil to my dry mix, and I'm going to stir that in just a little bit, and then I'm going to take one of my eggs and I'm going to crack that in as well. Be really careful when you crack out on the side. Make sure you don't get any of those eggshells in there. And then I'm going to mix that in. Now, this is going to be kind of hard. It's going to be kind of clumpy with your whisk, but just do the best that you can. Okay? And after that's done, then we'll be back. Okay, so I've added my vegetable oil and also my egg into my mix, and I kind of finish it up with my spatula. This is what it looks like. Now we're going to add something that's kind of different. What I'm going to do is have you get 1 cup of hot water from your tap. Don't use boiling water, use hot water from the tap, and then get your 1 teaspoon measure, and I want you to add to that 1 teaspoon of the baking soda and stir that into it. Okay, so it's all dissolved in. And then you're going to stir that into your cake mixture. Okay, be really careful when you do this because it's going to be a little messy. Don't try to stir it all at once, just kind of gradually do it. Don't use your hand mixer with this. The most important thing with cakes is you don't want to overmix. They want to be a little bit lumpy. If you overmix, your cake is going to be flat. So go ahead and gently mix that in till you don't see any of the water left, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I've mixed my batter together. I want you to see how that looks. It has just a few lumps, not too many, but just a few. Now what I want you to do is take your cake pan that you've lined with the circle of parchment paper, and I want you to add that batter, but make sure it only goes halfway up into your cake pan. If you have a smaller pan, this is going to be an issue. Only fill it up halfway. If you put too much in there, your cake is going to overflow in your oven, and it's going to create a big mess. So go ahead and only fill it up halfway. And I'm doing that now. Now the important thing to remember when you're baking your cake, and I don't know if you guys remember this when you're little boys, I never let you run around and bang things when I had a cake in the oven. The reason being is banging and loud noise is going to cause your cake to fall, and it's going to go flat. It's going to go down in the middle. So keep things nice and easy, and don't be banging things around, and don't be too loud while your cake is in the oven. So here is my cake. I've got my batter in there. Now I'm going to pop it in the oven. My oven, again, is set to 350. It's already preheated. And I want you to set your timer for 30 minutes, okay? Go ahead and do that. And when 30 minutes is up, let's take a look and see how our cakes look. Okay, my timer's gone off, so let's take a look at my cake. Doesn't that look delicious? It hasn't overflowed. It hasn't fallen in the middle. This is a perfect cake. I want you to go ahead and take a table knife out of your silverware drawer, sink that down in the center, and let's pull it out. You see how mine comes out nice and clean? You don't see any wet batter? That means my cake has baked all the way through. If you pull yours out and you see some wet batter, go ahead and put it in your oven for about another 2 minutes and try it again. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put this on a cooling rack for 10 minutes and let it cool, and then I'm going to show you how to remove that from the pan. Okay, so I've let my cake cool on my baking pan for 10 minutes. Now I'm going to go ahead and use a table knife, and I'm going to trace around the inside of the pan so that my knife goes between the batter or the cake and the pan. Go all the way around, and this is going to loosen your cake up. Go all the way around, okay? And then what you're going to do is very carefully, you're going to ease your cake out. You see how it falls right out? And then slide it onto a plate. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And then while that's cooling the rest of the way, we're going to make the most delicious part, which is the fluffy white frosting. Okay, so while our cake is cooling, let's go ahead and make our fluffy white frosting. And this is, I have to tell you, the best part of the cake. It is so yummy and so delicious and really easy to make. So what I want you to do is we're going to start with the sugar. So get your half cup measure and measure out a half a cup of sugar. And I want you to put that in that saucepan that you have, okay? And then I want you to get your quarter cup, and I want you to add just a little bit less than a quarter cup of water and dump that in. Then I want you to get your cream of tartar and your quarter teaspoon measure. Now, if you have 1/8 of a teaspoon measure, that's best. I only have a quarter, and I have a quarter, so I'm going to fill up halfway, which gives me 1/8 of a teaspoon of the cream of tartar. And then go ahead and get your salt shaker out and add just a little quick sprinkle of salt there, okay? Put this on your burner, set your burner to 7, and then I want you to stir it until your mixture becomes bubbly, okay? Stir it the entire time, otherwise it's going to burn and it's going to smell really bad. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so I have my sugar water and it's boiled really nicely, just bubbles at the top. And now I'm going to come over here to where my mixer is, and I'm going to teach you how to separate an egg. You're going to crack it very carefully on the side, just like that. Put your thumbs in there, and then you're going to pull it apart. And then what I want you to do is put it in half, and see how I'm letting the white part go down into my bowl? Then I'm going to very carefully transfer the egg yolk, the yellow part, into the other side, and keep tossing it back and forth till I have all the egg white separated out, okay? So we're only going to use the part that is the white part, this part right here, okay? I'm going to dump that in my mixing bowl, and then to that I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of vanilla, okay? I'm going to turn my mixer on high for 1 minute, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now this is the most important part of the frosting. So we've added the egg white and the vanilla. We've kind of mixed that up. Now I'm going to very gradually, slowly, a little bit at a time, add the sugar water, which is still hot, into this. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to beat it on high using my mixer for 7 minutes. When that's done, I'm going to show you how yours should look. Okay, boys. Here's the finished product. Chocolate cake with very fluffy white frosting. I've just kind of added that to the top. See how it's nice and fluffy? It's got lots of peaks. I put a little candy sprinkles on the top, and it's done. Okay, I hope you have fun making this. Make sure and call me if you have questions, and I hope it tastes as yummy at your house as it does at home. I love you, boys. Bye.